In today's chilling true crime case, we delve into a moment that shocked the world when a killer, convinced that no one would catch him, unknowingly became the star of his own undoing as his every move was captured on CCTV. This story isn't just about a heinous crime. It's about the role technology plays in bringing justice and how a seemingly trivial detail, an unnoticed camera, turned the tide in one of the most gripping criminal investigations in recent history. The mysterious murder of Jade Bowers. In 2018, Jade Bowers, a young woman living in Sheffield, England, was tragically found murdered in her apartment. The case initially seemed perplexing. Jade was not involved in any criminal activity, nor did she have any known enemies. She was a quiet young woman who was focused on her studies, with no history of violence or dangerous acquaintances. The apartment, located in a quiet neighborhood, showed signs of a violent struggle. Jade had been repeatedly stabbed, and her body showed signs of defensive wounds, meaning she fought fiercely in her final moments. The scene was gruesome, and with no immediate leads, investigators were left scrambling to find a suspect. The initial investigation offered few clues. There were no signs of forced entry, and no valuables appeared to be missing. The police speculated that Jade's murder was not a random act, but something more personal. With no witnesses and little forensic evidence, investigators began to feel the weight of the case bearing down on them. At this stage, there were two primary questions on the minds of the investigators. Who could have done this to Jade, and why? While Jade's friends and family were understandably devastated, none of them could think of a logical explanation for her murder. This left the authorities grasping at straws, but they were about to catch an unexpected break thanks to CCTV surveillance. CCTV footage that would expose the killer. While the investigation stalled in the early days, the breakthrough came when police decided to investigate the area surrounding Jade's apartment. In many cities, public spaces, businesses, and even residential areas are often monitored by CCTV cameras. The police began canvassing local stores, street corners, and public areas for any footage that might reveal something crucial about the night of the murder. A stroke of luck came when investigators discovered a camera positioned just outside a corner shop located a few hundred yards from Jade's building. At first, it seemed like a long shot, but the investigators knew it could offer something vital. They reviewed the footage from the night of the murder, hoping for any lead that could tie someone to the crime. What they discovered would turn the case around completely. The footage revealed a man walking past the corner shop's CCTV camera around the time of the murder. The man appeared calm and unassuming, walking with a purpose but not displaying any noticeable signs of nervousness or urgency. He seemed like any other person out for a late-night stroll, yet what stood out immediately was the bag he was carrying. It looked unusually large and bulky, which was odd for someone out for a late walk at such an hour. The man's movements were deliberate, as if he was scouting the area, yet he seemed unaware of the camera watching him. As the footage continued, it became clear that this man was headed toward the vicinity of Jade's apartment. There was something eerie about the way he moved, a casualness that belied the violence that would soon follow. The footage didn't capture any of the crime itself, but it gave investigators the crucial clue they needed. It was the beginning of the end for the killer, but there was still one question left. Who was this man? Tracking down the killer. The CCTV footage was a crucial piece of evidence, but it didn't reveal the killer's identity outright. The police now had a few clear images of the suspect, but who was he? Using facial recognition technology and working closely with local law enforcement, the police began the painstaking task of cross-referencing the images with known individuals in the area. After a few days of investigation, the man in the footage was identified as Mark Fisher, a 28-year-old man who had a history with Jade Bowers. Fisher wasn't a stranger to law enforcement. He had a history of minor criminal offenses, including assault and harassment charges. In fact, Jade had briefly been in a relationship with him several months prior to her death, though it had ended on poor terms. After the breakup, Fisher had reportedly become obsessed with Jade, frequently sending her unwanted messages and showing up uninvited at her apartment. Though the relationship had been short-lived, it was clear that Fisher had not been able to let go of Jade, and his obsession eventually turned deadly. The connection between Fisher and Jade was now undeniable. The CCTV footage had caught him in the area on the night of the murder, and his past relationship with the victim made him a prime suspect. But there was more. Fisher's behavior in the footage was telling. He walked with a certain purpose, clearly aware of his surroundings, but he also appeared completely at ease. There was no indication of the panic or fear someone would typically display if they were involved in a violent crime. He walked past the camera with confidence, unaware that his every move was being recorded. Police acted quickly and arrested Fisher at his home. When they searched his apartment, they discovered a blood-stained knife hidden under his bed. Fisher's DNA was found at the crime scene, and further forensic analysis confirmed that the knife recovered from his apartment was the one used to kill Jade. Despite the overwhelming evidence against him, Fisher continued to deny any involvement in the murder. But the CCTV footage, combined with the physical evidence, left little doubt in the minds of the investigators. Justice for Jade. The case went to trial, and the prosecution used the CCTV footage as a central piece of their evidence. It showed Fisher walking past the corner shop with a large bag, moving with unsettling calm as he approached Jade's building. The footage provided the timeline that placed Fisher near the scene of the crime at exactly the right time. It was chilling to watch as it exposed the true nature of the killer's movements. While Fisher may have thought he was operating undetected, the camera that he had ignored was his downfall. In court, the prosecution detailed Fisher's history with Jade and the obsessive behavior he exhibited after their breakup. They also presented the evidence from the scene of the crime: the blood-stained knife, the DNA matching Fisher's, and the CCTV footage that captured his every move. The defense attempted to argue that the footage was not conclusive evidence, but the jury wasn't convinced. The evidence was overwhelming, and Fisher was convicted of murder. Fisher was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Jade Bowers. It was a small measure of justice for Jade's grieving family, who had been left in the dark for months as they struggled to understand why she had been targeted in such a brutal way. Jade's family and friends were devastated by the loss, but they took some comfort in knowing that her killer had been brought to justice. The role of CCTV in crime. The case of Jade Bowers' murder illustrates the power of modern technology in criminal investigations. CCTV cameras, once seen as an inconvenience or a privacy violation, have become invaluable tools for solving crimes. In Fisher's case, his failure to notice or care about the surveillance cameras around him ultimately led to his capture. The footage provided law enforcement with key evidence, from placing him at the crime scene to capturing his deliberate, calm movements in the moments before the murder. However, this case also raises important questions about the balance between privacy and security. CCTV surveillance is everywhere today, and while it serves an essential role in maintaining public safety, it also highlights concerns about surveillance overreach. In a world where cameras are watching our every move, it's important to consider the ethical implications of mass surveillance. Still, in this case, the surveillance worked as it was intended. It helped bring a killer to justice. Without it, the murder of Jade Bowers may have remained unsolved, and the true nature of her killer may have remained hidden. This tragic case of Jade Bowers' murder is a stark reminder of how easily a killer can be exposed in the digital age. Fisher thought he was operating under the radar, unaware that his every movement was being documented. Ultimately, this case demonstrates the power of technology and the critical role that CCTV footage plays in modern criminal investigations. If you're ever in doubt about the consequences of technology in today's world, just remember that sometimes a camera is all it takes to capture the truth. Thank you for watching and diving into this case with us. If you found this story both fascinating and chilling, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more real-life crime stories. Your support helps us bring more of these gripping investigations to light, so make sure to hit that bell notification so you never miss a new video.